Take a good look at this security video just uncovered by Crime Watch Daily. It was captured minutes before Kyle Fleischmann disappeared into the darkness. It's an image that will haunt his parents until the day they find him.
I don't believe there's probably an hour a day that he doesn't come into my mind.
It happens in Charlotte, North Carolina, a hip, trendy, cosmopolitan city with sweet tea and southern charm to spare. But just a few blocks away, on the other side of this bridge, lies a dark, dangerous park ruled by drug dealers and gangs. Kyle Fleischmann grew up in Charlotte and knew better than to wander across that bridge, especially late at night. The 24-year-old had just bought his first condo on the other side of town and landed a cush job as a healthcare recruiter. His dad, Dick, says the only dark cloud hanging over Kyle was his mom's health.
My wife had just been diagnosed with cancer 30 days prior.
Kyle and his mom vowed to beat the cancer together.
He never would have left.
Just days before Barbara's first cancer surgery, Kyle, his sister Noelle, and best friend Daniel SCAGNELLI plan a special treat for Barbara, a Dane Cook comedy concert to lift her spirits.
We all met at my house and we scheduled for cabs to come over. We knew we'd have a few drinks while we were out. Kyle was his normal self, having a good time, happy, jovial, nothing out of the ordinary in terms of his attitude.
After the show, Kyle tells his mom he and some friends are heading to the popular bar in uptown Charlotte, the Buckhead Saloon. It's the last time Barbara ever speaks to her son.
You don't say anything. You don't know that that's the last time you're going to talk to someone, so there was no big goodbyes or anything. We're like, okay, we'll see you later. Call us, or we'll call you.
Once at the Buckhead Saloon, Daniel says they continue to party.
Kyle wasn't extremely intoxicated by any means. Sure, I'm sure he was feeling pretty good. I know I was personally, but I don't think he had reached the point where he wasn't aware of his surroundings.
So around 1 a.m., Daniel closes out his bar tab. He notices Kyle is talking to a cute co-ed.
Right around then, we had the conversation, you coming or you staying? And he was having a good time. He had connected with some folks, and he was going to stay behind.
Daniel will never see his best friend again.
I think about that all the time still. It's something I've had to deal with and chew on quite a bit.
Sometime in the wee hours of the morning while everyone is sleeping, Kyle Fleischmann vanishes. When Dick Fleischmann wakes up, he notices some missed calls from his son. He figures Kyle accidentally dialed him.
He may have just pressed a button as you would do on the side. He just pressed it 3 times, but there was nothing said by him.
When Daniel gets up, he also sees a missed call from Kyle. He thinks little of it until he looks in his driveway.
When I realized Kyle's car was still at my house, I think that was the initial trigger to me that something was off.
Daniel immediately calls Kyle. His phone goes to voicemail.
So at that point, I started reaching out to Kyle's roommates to see if they'd heard from him, and Kyle hadn't come home that night. At that point, we knew I had to reach out to his folks. Had they heard from him?
It's a call they replay over and over in their minds.
I just remember you read and you hear about people's mouths going dry. Like my mouth went completely dry, like I could barely swallow.
The fact that no one had heard from him that period of time, I got a sick feeling in my stomach that something happened.
The Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, spearheaded by Detective J.L. Tuttle, mobilized an exhaustive search.
Missing person cases are unique in several aspects when it comes to police work. We don't have a crime scene. We don't have specifics. Many times we don't have any real evidence of what occurred.
Daniel creates the first ever missing persons page on Facebook. By morning, 60,000 people are following their search, and hundreds show up to help look for Kyle.
I want to go down a few and then start going up. I think, over the course of all the searches, probably thousands of different people, many of which you never knew Kyle, were involved because they were touched by his story.
The Fleischmanns also hire a private investigator to help sift through leads. We're calling him Joe and hiding his face so he can continue to work undercover.
I met with them and gathered the information I needed and began to trying to piece what exactly happened.
What Joe and detectives piece together is a bizarre timeline of events, and it begins with that cute co-ed Kyle met at the bar.
There was some videotape we were able to gather from the manager of Buckhead Saloon showing Kyle first speaking with a young lady, and then two guys. Looking at the video, it looked like they were in some type of a possible argument or confrontation with Kyle.
Shortly after that confrontation, this surveillance video shows Kyle leaving the Buckhead Saloon around 2:20 a.m.
He left his debit card and also his jacket at the saloon.
Maybe Kyle was drunk and forgot his coat and card, but Joe believes he left in a hurry.
The young lady then leaves, walks out on College Street. Shortly after, Kyle then leaves as well. Kyle and the young lady end up speaking as they're walking across the street.
Minutes later, another camera captures Kyle now heading down College Street toward Fuel Pizza. A cashier there, who claims to have a photographic memory, tells Joe Kyle definitely came in for pizza.
He said, I know that kid was in here. I know him, I know what he ordered.
As soon as he told my investigator that Kyle had a pizza with everything on it, I knew it was him.
Kyle is never spotted on another surveillance camera throughout the entire city.
It's very challenging in this case to try to follow a timeline and figure out exactly what happened to Kyle after he walked past those video cameras on College Street.
So detectives begin digging into Kyle's phone records. Remember those missed calls to his dad and Daniel? It turns out Kyle made 8 calls. The first at 2:42 a.m. to his sister around 3 a.m. and a final call to his roommate at 3:29 a.m. Strangely, Kyle never leaves a single message.
What comes to mind first is Kyle either thought he was looking for a ride, needed a ride at that point, or Kyle was in trouble and he needed help.
Using cell tower pings, investigators begin tracking down the location of those 8 calls. They do not like what they find.
Starts walking down College Street, which turns eventually into North Davidson Street, which becomes a pretty bad area on the other side of the bridge.
Why or where he was going or what his thought process was, I don't know. I wish I did. It might help us understand where he is now or what happened to him that night.
By 4 a.m., Kyle's phone is dead. The last ping? Mere feet from that bridge.
From there, it's unknown.
With the hope of finding Kyle fading, the family reaches out to an elite dog search team to try and track down Kyle. But what will they uncover?
As soon as I hit that curb, I smelled the odor of death.